this room are likely here because you're interested in giving a child a family. And for the most part, if you're like most other prospective adoptive families, you're interested in adopting an infant. Most families who are interested in adoption generally think, okay, we're gonna adopt a little baby. Babies are cute and they're cuddly, and the biggest draw to them is that they don't have the rough histories that kids from foster care have. I do want to, however, in this presentation, just give you a few reasons why I would suggest that you consider adopting a child from foster care, and how it might be a better fit for you and your family, a better fit than just adopting an infant straight from birth, straight from another agency. Foster care adoption is frequently threaded with these myths and horror stories about children who come into a family and just wreak havoc, or adoption expenses that are just through the roof. But the reality is, kids from foster care very desperately need families, and for the most part, it's not quite as scary as we tend to envision it. My husband and I, Mike, are currently working through the foster to adopt process. So as I'm sharing with you, I want to share some of the things that we've learned in going through the process. Like I said, infant adoption is the most prevalent kind of adoption. But foster to adopt, often families find that foster to adopt is a better fit for their family. Why adopt from foster care? First of all, there's a reason why we should adopt from foster care. There's a need in the foster care system, and there's a way that makes us able to adopt from foster care. So like I said, there's a reason. As time passes, kids feel like their chances of getting adopted are slimmer and slimmer. They feel like it's more and more of a bleak situation. In a video shown in one of our adoption classes, there's a young lady talking, and she was only 4 at the time of her adoption, but she said, even at just 4, said that she felt like she would never get adopted. She felt like she was never going to find a home. And if that child who was only 4 felt that way, how much more would older children feel similarly? There's also a need for adoption from foster care. According to a website, it's called adoptuskids.org. It's one of the most prominent websites in the adoption community, and it says that there are about 123,000 children currently waiting to be adopted in the United States. And even further, the Texas Adoption Resource Exchange, which is another agency that's pretty prominent, says that there's a really disproportionate amount of children who are just children waiting to be adopted because of being a minority. They're a different race, or they have some kind of a disability. Those children desperately need to be adopted. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just different from your typical child. There's also a way to adopt from foster care. It's not as hard as you might seem to think, and sometimes, this is what we found, sometimes it's even easier. For one, it's significantly less costly to adopt a child from foster care as opposed to adopting an infant. The adoption agency that we're going through, Lutheran Family Services of Virginia, actually completely covers all of the adoption, or all of the foster to adopt expenses. I take that back. They do cover it as long as you're from Virginia. And a lot of times other states will also come in and cover those costs, so we might have to pay Lutheran, but the other state will come in and pay for that adoption expense. In addition, we can also receive government help. There are government subsidies that are available to help cover some of those adoption expenses. In addition, most of the kids from foster care come enrolled in Medicaid, which is a huge help as far as healthcare expenses go. And finally, there are adoption tax credits available when you file your taxes. If you've adopted a child, there are significant tax credits that are available to adoptive families. Finally, it's easy to find a child. There are what they call adoption photo listing websites available, which just list out with pictures and descriptions the children who are available for adoption, and they make it significantly easier to connect with a child before even going through the process. Two of those examples are photolisting.adoption.com and Adopt US Kids that I mentioned earlier. All of this is to say that infant adoption may fit for your family. It may be the thing that you need to do, but I don't want you to immediately assume that that's the way to go. Adoption from foster care might be a possible fit. You do understand the importance now that there is a reason why children need to be adopted from foster care. There's a huge need, and there's absolutely a way to adopt children from foster care. So I want to encourage you, as you go through this process, as you're looking to make this decision, take a look through some of those photo listing websites and put faces to that need. Don't just think it in your head, but think about the faces of the children who need homes. You may have the perfect bedroom, you may have the perfect house, the perfect yard for a child to fit in, and you may have the perfect family where they'll fit. I just don't want you to easily count them out of your home.